Welcome, low ego action heroes. This is Debbie Levitt from deltacx.com. We're a full service CX and UX consultancy. We do projects, training, and consulting. Check us out if you have some spare time. And welcome to episode 15 of Think Out Loud, part of the Think Out Loud series that you will find in the Think Out Loud playlist. So what is Think Out Loud and why are we all here today? This is a series of videos where I do research planning and UX design for real or fake projects that you send in. And I think out loud while I do it so that you can hopefully learn from some of my technique and the way I approach things. Hopefully it'll help you learn better because gosh, I feel like too many things are, here's what we start with, here's what we end with. You try. So as I work, please feel free to ask any questions. And of course, if you're watching this video later, please put questions down in the comments on YouTube. Don't put them on LinkedIn. I can never find them later. Please put them in the comments on YouTube and I will happily answer them personally. Also, let's take a moment to thank everybody who is donating to this channel through the YouTube memberships. Oh no, my graphics are cutting off. Let's fix that font size while we thank everybody. Thanks to, we have some new people, so the font needs to be a little smaller. Thanks to everybody who's donating between $3 and $10 per month to the channel, which is totally optional, but always appreciated. And we even have some new senior low ego action heroes thanks to you. The greatest gift you could give me, of course, is telling people about this channel. The money is great. Thank you very much for it. I will invest in streaming software and chocolate chips. Hello, Kayla. But I really want everybody to tell everybody about the channel. So subscribe and tell some friends about it. We need that word of mouth boost. All right, so let's go back to our project that we've been working on. And remember, if you'd like to send in a project for me to work on live, you absolutely can. deltacx.com/links will have all the links you could imagine and dream of and want related to this show, including how you can send in something for the Think Out Loud streams. No, there's no charge. You just send it in, and if it makes sense, I'll do it. It's that easy. So let's take a look at what we were working on 3 weeks ago, which was when we had episode 14 of Think Out Loud. So let's check that everything flipped over. Well, okay, so here's me and the chat room and the optional tip jar and the rest of my screen. All right, so what we got a few weeks ago was we had someone sending in an idea for a product where it matches people up who want to practice foreign languages. And the idea there was that if you wanted to, let's say you're learning English and I'm learning Italian and I'm a native English speaker and you're a native Italian speaker, we could be paired up and get together maybe on Zoom calls or something like that. We'll speak some Italian, where I get the chance to practice and be corrected by a native speaker, and then we'll speak some English, and you'll get the chance to be corrected by a native speaker. Now, there are already systems like that out there, and the person who sent this in wanted to see what we would do in planning research and then doing design. So I think we did a research plan. Hi, Manuel. And then we did some design for the onboarding. So what would it look like if you were first signing up to this system and we needed to take the least possible information from you so that we could get you into the system and registered and using it. Now, if you'd like to follow along with my Acture file, I will upload it after the stream is over. You can find it at QXN like Nancy, P like Peter, Z like zebra, B like Bravo, .axshare, AXSHARE.com. Now note that I'm using Acture, AXURE, but this is not sponsored. I pay them. They don't pay me. If you're interested in learning Acture, there's a playlist here on the YouTube channel with 13 hours of Acture lessons. And of course, they're completely free. So you've got no excuse other than time if you're interested in learning Acture. So 3 weeks ago, we got as far as designing a little onboarding. So let's look back at what that looked like, because now I want to design another part of this system for today's show. So we imagined that we were going, if disregard this little flow chart up here, we imagined that we were going to ask people for their email address and whatever they wanted their public username to be. So that could be a nickname or a real name or meow meow overlord, whatever you'd like. We needed to check if they agree to our terms, which of course should be linked here, but I didn't make the link. And we need some sort of confirmation that they are an adult, because if we're going to drop people into video chats with each other, we really want to make sure that people are adults. And in fact, we probably spoke about this 3 weeks ago, but you might even have to discuss with your legal department if there are extra steps that we need to take to confirm that people are adults. For example, charging their credit card or asking them other questions or verifying their identity, because again, we don't want to find out later that there is some bad things happening between adults and non-adults in our space. That's going to be bad for humans. That's going to be bad for business, bad for everything. Then we said next. And then we asked what languages you speak fluently. So I could say, I speak English. If I could spell it right, then I could speak English. And I would like to learn Italian. And so I could choose it from here. Hey, Ikening, how you doing? Good to rejoin. I never found out what job you went to. And then we can say next. And then, of course, we have that we talked about this last time, how chances are we're going to, we might need to, what's the word I'm looking for? Verify people further. But whether or not we do that, there probably is an additional warning we want to give people in case there are scams or other things. Again, your lawyers would write this. You would not write this. So to me, this is just a placeholder for what the real text would be. Remember, you do not have to tell your conversation partners anything about you personally. Certainly don't give them your banking information. Thank you, Ikening. I'll message you after the show. Your pet's name, your birthday, any of the things that are normally asked of you when you have to verify your identity. And so we might have a link to more terms or details or a scam warning, document, video, both, whatever it might be. And if they say, I promise to be careful, then we're going to imagine that we're dumping them into a free trial. And again, this is something that part has to be worked out with usually marketing and sales and go-to-market and business strategy, who are going to say, okay, how long do people get a free trial? What are they paying after that? So we just invented a 7-day trial, and then they're going to pay roughly $3 American per month. And we've imagined that we've emailed them and they have 15 minutes to verify their email. Now, again, be careful of things that are time sensitive like this, because they can be bad for accessibility. People who move slowly, people who think slowly, these are all okay, but you don't want anything that is so short that anyone with any disability, condition, diagnosis, superpower, whatever it might be, you don't want them to time out of the system. So you don't want to do something like you have 2 minutes to do something. You want to make sure, if you're counting down time, that you give people ample time to receive that email and to act on it. Maybe it's not 15 minutes. Maybe it's 30 minutes. Maybe it's 2 hours. 15 minutes is probably a little bit short and probably unnecessary. But the reason why we did this last time, if you watched the last episode, was because we figured we probably don't want people to start chatting with people and meeting people before we verified who they are. So make sure, if you are a UX designer, make sure that whatever that verification process is gets built into your user flow or your flow chart, so that you are saying some people or all people need additional verification. So we've done onboarding, but this onboarding assumes that they didn't need additional verification for any legal reasons. If there needs to be more verification for legal reasons, don't fight that. That's the right thing. That is not the time to fight your stakeholders or your client or your product manager and say, no, Debbie says onboarding should be short. Onboarding should be short, but if we do have a legal process to go through for people's safety, Go through the legal process. Don't fall for it has to be 3 clicks. That's old thinking that has been shown to not be true anymore. So if the onboarding or a legal verification process is more than 4 clicks, we're going to survive. If somebody doesn't want to go through that process, I'm okay with that. Then they won't be in our system. We're going to need to know who everybody is. And that also reminds me, behind the scenes, now I'm thinking a little bit more service design and things that are outside of digital design, but we're going to have to decide, for example, if people can make calls through our system, do we record all of them? In case somebody, like you're forced to record them, like there's no choice. These are all recorded and stored in case we find out later that something abusive happened. Someone showed a body part, someone said something, etc. So that's another conversation for the legal department and other stakeholders involved. So again, that's not necessarily your job to design, but if you're working in a startup and your startup is doing something that's related to this kind of thing, where you're going to be matching people up for dating, language partners, buying and selling things to each other, make sure your startup is thinking about this stuff. Don't let them gloss over it and say, people are probably fine. Your startup is fine until they get sued. And that's going to be bad. That is not going to be user-centered, and you might have a personal crisis when you think about the ethics of that. So please, if your startup doesn't believe you, send them this video. It's really important to make sure that we have these legal considerations. And I know that isn't totally designed, but this is Think Out Loud, and I want to tell you these are the things I'm thinking of when I'm working with potential clients and current clients. What's everybody drinking today? As usual, I'm having watered down orange juice. Orange juice is just too concentrated for me. All right, so this is where we stopped at this point. We said let's go, but this button goes nowhere. So now today we're going to imagine a totally separate flow, and we can map out that flow first. I'll make a fresh page in Axure, though I apologize. Something about when I share my screen makes my mouse move really slowly. I don't know why. It's really weird. But let's say we call this the matching flow. And this might be where we show people other people that they might want to have some sort of conversation with. So Anna says, water, I'm on a diet. Well, who isn't on a diet? Me too, girlfriend. So that's why it's a big cup of water with a little splash of orange juice. I tell you, it makes all the difference, and it's low in calories. I also buy no sugar added orange juice so that it's not full of calories. So let's think about how we want to design once people, let's assume they've onboarded, let's assume they verified themselves, and now they're finally going to be using our system. And remember, I'm designing in medium fidelity or mid fidelity. This means I do not care about, at least not yet, about our branding, our logos, our colors, our typography, the website header, the website footer. Now, I'm going to get all that in later. I'm just trying to build the core functionality. And again, in real life, this would be based on our research findings and insights. Those would help me understand our users better and have a better sense of what to design. Since this is a fake project, I don't have research to go by, so I just have to kind of go by what makes sense to me based on the fake project I've been given, and thinking it through and thinking out possibilities. And then, of course, hypothetically, this would be usability tested. I would not release this live to the public. I would make sure this is usability tested and that I had the time to fix stuff. Ian says, tea and hello. All right, so the first thing we need to imagine is that people are on some sort of friendly, welcoming page that's going to let them find other friendly people. So just to have some words on the page, I'm just going to drop something here, and we're going to imagine that we know their name. Now, I might know their name if we use Axure wisely. I can actually know their name. So I can actually go into this in Axure, and I can say, when people type here, save whatever name they tell us, and that way I can use their name later. Sorry, mouse going slow again. Okay, so let's call this username. Doesn't matter on the capital letter here. And this is a variable. And so what Axure lets you do is it lets you hold information behind the scenes that you can use later or you can show to people. And so I'm going to say the username is the text on this, and this is where people are typing their username, so we're going to save that. Now when I teach Axure, I like to talk about baby step testing, which means once I've made a small change, I like to check it to make sure it's working, which means this username that says blank, as I type something here, it should change. There we go. Okay, so now Axure knows my name, which means I can go back to the matching page and I can call someone by their name. And I think that's going to be a little more friendly and realistic. So I can write welcome here, or I could say maybe find your conversational partner. And let's say we'll give this a name. Welcome. Oh boy, my typing is especially bad today. Can't see over my microphone. Welcome message. And we'll just say, hey, Axure, when the page loads up. So that's page loaded. Change the text over on the welcome message, slow mouse again, to say, find your conversational partner, comma, username, but only if we know their username. I don't want this to change if we don't know their username. Otherwise, it'll say, find your conversational partner, comma, exclamation point. So I'll write a quick condition to clean that up. So if value of variable username does not equal blankness. That's a good way to make sure we've got a name. Okay. And again, if you've taken my Axure courses, this will look familiar. We do a lesson exactly on this. So find your conversational partner, Debbie. Now, we know from their onboarding that they speak English and they want to learn Italian, or in my case, that's what they do. So we know that they've picked a language and they are looking to learn a certain language. Now, for now, I'm just going to put placeholders in. I'm not going to Axure it up. I'm just going to wireframe this a little bit, and we can always clean it up later with some, interactive Axure pizzazz. So let's say this says, you are looking to speak Italian with someone looking to learn English. Okay, and again, we would swap out Italian with whatever they picked, and we would swap out English with whatever they picked. You know I could do that from Axure. I'm just going to be lazy right now and just mock it up as if that's all this says. I'll make the font a little bit bigger, but normally I would use global styling in Axure, which is kind of like CSS, so I wouldn't necessarily manually style it like that, but for now I'm just being lazy, so I did a manual style. I hit save a lot. So, okay, so we know that you're looking to speak Italian and we're looking with someone who wants to learn English. That means now we have to show people who matches that. So now we need to give them some people. And I'm going to imagine that each person is in some sort of box. And again, how this box is visually designed is up to the visual designer, which is usually not me. So I'm just going to make a box here. It could have rounded corners. That's not the important part. We're just going to make sort of a series of cards, and these are kind of like our search results. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this one down a little bit because I get the feeling later I'm going to come back and build filters, and I'll probably want any sorting or filtering buttons or checkboxes or choices to be above the search results. So I'm leaving myself some room now for what I'm going to do later. But again, even if I hadn't done that, I could always grab everything and move it down. But this is Think Out Loud, so I'm thinking ahead. If you have any thoughts or questions, let me know, but we are just going to keep designing. And I'm going to imagine that we have maybe a photo. Now, the question is, we didn't ask people for a picture. And I think we talked about this last time. You know, this isn't a meat market or a dating site, so the picture might not be important. Maybe at some point we let people pick an avatar or an animal or something, but I don't necessarily want people to put up photos of themselves. That's not important. But I think we did last time. Did we end up asking people their age? Because that's a question that we asked ourselves 3 weeks ago, was when we had the onboarding, was, do we want to ask people any questions that would help us match them in the system with other people? And we didn't ask them these questions. So for example, if we do want to ask people, what general age of person would you like to talk to? We would have to collect people's ages. We talked about gender last time. I didn't want to go there. There are just too many genders for us to get this right, and we wouldn't want this to not seem inclusive. But I also imagined, you know, not everybody who's 70 wants to talk to someone who's 20, so age might be something. Can anybody think of anything else where we might want to ask people up front in the onboarding something about themselves so that we can help people match up later? Because again, I can't ask people what age range they want to meet if we don't know their age. So we might have to ask some extra questions here. Age, anything else you think that would be fair to sort people by? I'm trying to think of what else I would ask. Let's see, there's I'm not sure if location matters. Time zone? No, because some people are happy to talk to someone at 2 in the morning. So time zone might not matter. And maybe our system can end up having a calendar booking system that would adjust to people's time zones. Ooh. Yeah, so maybe for now we just ask age, and that way people might say, hey, look, I'm 20, I want to meet other people in their 20s, or I'm 60, I want to meet other people in their 60s, something like that. So let's quickly jump into this screen, and in addition to asking people what languages they want to practice, let's also ask them their age. I have over-selected things. Please hold. Okay, I'm just going to move these buttons out of the way so that I can leave room for a question about age. Let's see. And sometimes the easiest way to ask people their age, especially since time keeps moving forward, is just to ask them what year they were born. And that way the system can constantly do the math on how old they would be. So that is a really simple question and answer. So I'm just going to come over here and I'm just going to grab this label and this text field, and we'll come and drop it. Oops. Oh, not here. Sorry, that's a slight mistake. Over here. All right, so let's see. Maybe over here. And again, the spacing is not great. Everybody knows my visual design is not strong. I'd probably either come back later and clean this up, or somebody else would. So we could say, what year were you born? Used to match partners. Because people might be like, why are they asking me that? This field probably doesn't have to be this big, so I'll just make it a little bit smaller. And I'm just going to take these two and send them to the back for reasons, for actual related reasons. Okay, so now we know people's age. We could match them up based on age, and we're already matching them based on language. So that means if I speak English and I want to learn Italian, I can only be matched with Italian speakers who want to learn English. That right there is going to narrow down this pool quite a lot. So now we can go back to our matching page. We could imagine that we're going to, we also didn't have anybody pick an avatar or a picture. That's something we could add in later. I'm not going to worry about that, but we could leave room for it if we think that that's something we're going to design later. So let's say I leave room for a photo. Excuse me. Ooh. Sorry. Okay, let's make this a square, 120 by 120. I'll imagine this is somebody's photo. And again, it could have rounded corners. It could be a circle. I'm not going to worry too much about that yet. This is still an early concept for me. When many of you are sketching out your preliminary ideas, this is how I do it. I don't sketch first. I go right into Axure and I just start making something that is live and realistic so I can test it out and see how I like it. So let's say that we have this. Let's make it a little bit narrower. Okay, there we go. Now that's lined up. And we could have their username here. This font is probably a little too big. I've overdone it. So let's just, and again, we might have, we would use Axure's global widget styles. I'm not using them right now, but we would. They're up here. You can learn them from my lessons. So this might be a username, and just as a placeholder, we're going to call it username 01. We're going to assume we know people's age. So we can tell them here what their age is. And let's say we move this up a little bit. Okay, so they are whatever years old, so let's pretend they are 27 years old. And we didn't ask people where they were located because honestly, I don't think that matters. This isn't a dating website. I don't need to find somebody near me, and in fact, near me might not be the best way to go. So let's imagine that they are 27 years old, and let's imagine that this card lists the languages they speak and lists the languages they want to learn, which we captured from the onboarding. So again, we can only put information here that we know. We know their username, we know their age, we know what languages they speak and what languages they're looking to learn. So let's create another little section. And again, I always start by just throwing the information out there, and then sometimes once I see the information out there, I go, no, this doesn't look very good. Let's try again. But so let's throw the information out there, and then we'll clean it up. So let's say speaks, and then we'll put little flags with little things under them maybe. So speaks, I need an American flag now. Help me, help me. I don't think I have an American flag. Do Axure icons have flags? I can't remember. Axure icons are an old version of Font Awesome. So let's see, flags. Well, you know what? Just as a quick placeholder, because I'm still playing with an idea, I'll take it. I mean, really, the flag is going to end up being a rectangle, so I can just grab an Axure rectangle, use that as a placeholder, and keep going with my idea to see if my idea sucks. So let's take a placeholder and assume it's going to have a flag, and maybe it's this size. So we could have that, and we could put languages underneath there. So maybe there's a little label, because not everybody is going to recognize every flag. So, you know, be careful. Don't assume that everybody knows what they are. So let's line these up. And Manash says, I love this series. It's my favorite. Oh, well, thank you. And I hope you're enjoying this particular thing that I'm designing. I'm going to be a terrible person again and manually style my stuff. But no, not going to make time for global widget styles. These are just meant to be early concepts. So this might be speaks Italian. And let's grab these and copy paste them. And then learning, maybe English. Okay, what do we think of this? Is this clear? Could it be better? What might it look like if it were on a mobile phone? Would it still make sense? Could you imagine it stacking nicely as a little mobile card? Of course, we could do a mobile design, but I always start desktop. I know a lot of people say mobile first, and then they either make an app or they make a website. So I'm not mobile first. I'm going to make mobile once my desktop is really good. Now I'm starting to think this card is just possibly too big, but we really don't know. If someone speaks a whole bunch of languages, we're going to need room for it. This is where you'll hear people in UX say things like, does it scale? Now you're used to thinking of scaling like, oh, I need to make a shape bigger. But when we ask if your idea scales, we mean, what would it look like if they speak 12 languages? Does this layout still work? Will this layout become cluttered or difficult to look at? And so does my idea scale? I don't know. What if we imagined that this person does speak a whole bunch of languages? I'll group these together, and even though I can tell they're not aligned right, but graphic designers will just have to freak out. No, let's do a quick alignment, and okay, better. Group them. Let's copy and paste a bunch of these. Let's imagine, now of course, if we did research, we would learn the average person speaks X languages, but let's assume it's a really fantastic language lover, and let's imagine they speak 6 languages, maybe unlikely, maybe wacky and ridiculous, but let's see, what would that look like? So could we put 3 and 3? Now again, most people might only have one language they speak, one language they're learning. And you might say, Deb, this is overkill. This is too much. This is an edge case. Remember that as UX designers, we still want to consider the edge case. We want to make sure that this looks good and works good for all of the people who are going to use this. And eventually we might have a system that has so many functions that people do speak this many languages, and it makes sense to leave room for it. So let's see. I'll put this over here. Now probably want to make this box a little taller. Okay. And same for learning. What if someone wants to learn 3 languages, 4 languages? So we have to figure out how can we best do this? And chances are we've come up with a standard. For example, no font is going to be smaller than 13. So my font is 13. A common mistake I see in some of your portfolios is someone just keeps making the font smaller. They're like, well, we'll just have a tiny flag and a tiny font. And I say, hey, look, you'll definitely fit more stuff in, but that doesn't mean it's a good experience. That doesn't mean it was easy to use. So be careful of some of those common mistakes. I've just noticed these don't line up. Visual designers, don't kill me. Okay. So again, we have to think about that. Now, another thing is chances are we have more room left to write than the box I've given us. I've imagined, the page is not going to be 1,000 wide. We usually design for 1,200. So chances are this box is going to be even wider. And I think that would give us room for this. Now, who knows about their information architecture, and who has watched my micro lesson on visual hierarchy? So we probably will need to move this learning thing over because it's a little too close to the speaking languages. And the question is, will people's brain associate these flags with speak or learn? So you want to make sure that you've created enough space where it's really clear which is which. So I'm going to grab these 6 and copy and paste them. Yes, I know the person is not speaking Italian and learning Italian. These are all just placeholders for me to see if we had a very prolific language customer. How does this work? How would this look? Does this design make sense? Is it easy? Is it intuitive? So it could look like that. I think that looks okay. What do you all think? Now, I'm not fishing for compliments. I want you to burn this to the ground. Burn, baby, burn. I want you to find problems with what I've done. I want you to find mistakes. I want you to find a better way. So when you take a look at this, what are some things that you think I've missed? What are some things that concern you about this card? Is this card easy to understand? Now, of course, there's things missing from this. We haven't given people any action. We've shown them who this person is. In fact, maybe since the avatar isn't going to be a photo, maybe we bring it down a little bit. Maybe we bring it down like that. Maybe we move the username over, and that way we've got room for longer usernames. And that'll also leave us some room for some key actions. Maybe the actions might be add this person to my favorites. I'm not ready to contact them yet, but I want to favorite them. I might come back to them later. Remember, some people are shy. Some people are introverted. Some people aren't ready to reach out to someone. They're just looking around right now. They're browsing. So I think we should have some sort of paradigm for adding a favorite. In many cases, that is usually a heart icon. Usually it is an open heart when it has not been selected. And it would be a filled in heart of some point, of some type or color. Whoa, I have pressed the wrong button in Acture. Please hold while I press the reset view button. Ping. All right. So this heart is obviously a little bit too big. It's ridiculous. Doesn't really work as an icon. So let's lock the thing here. Let's bring it on down. Maybe 25 wide. Yeah, that's a good size. TJ says it would be great to understand their level of speaking, reading, writing proficiency in each language, spoken or learning, so that I know if we're at the same level or not. Okay, so TJ, this is a continuation from the last episode we did, episode 14, and what this system was supposed to be, which is a bit of a unique system, but the system was supposed to be the learner is matched up with a native speaker. So it's never like I'm a newbie and you're intermediate and we're going to talk, because the example I showed last time in episode 14 was there was a British woman who wanted to learn Italian, and she had written something in Italian and her Italian was kind of bad. And it made me not want to talk to her in Italian. I'm not going to learn from her. She's at a lower level than I am. So the concept of this fake system is that the level isn't important, because hypothetically a learner is always speaking to a native speaker, and that way you match people up who have the same two languages in common. So for example, I'm a native English speaker, I'm looking to learn Italian. The system would match me with a native Italian speaker looking to learn English. And that way, sometimes we would speak Italian and the native speaker can correct me. And sometimes we would speak English and I could correct them and they could learn from my proper or conversational English. So thank you, TJ. Good point. But in this case, it doesn't match what the concept of this is, though, of course, totally makes sense. All right, so I need to just build a little quick toggle where this heart can look like it's filled or not filled. So we'll drop it in a dynamic panel. I'll call it the fave panel. And we'll jump in really quickly, slow mouse again. And we'll call this the not fave state. And we'll add another one. Slow mouse, it hurts. And this will be the fave selected. And we'll go in and work on that. I don't know why my mouse slows down when I'm sharing my screen. Okay, this is fave selected. So this is 25 by 22. Can I fill this with a color? Let's try. Probably not, because this is an outline. Yeah, so I just get an outline. So we need to replace this with the filled in one. That's at, oh, I did it again. That's at 0, 0 and 25 wide. And maybe now we can make it red, standard red, or whatever red our company uses. Okay. Save. And I'll just build a quick interaction on this so that Axure treats this as a toggle. So when people click set panel state of the fave panel to next with a wrap, and there we go. So let's test that out quickly. All right, so here's our preview, favorite, unfavorite. Okay, that feels functional. Again, even if the icon or its size or color are changed later, I at least have a placeholder with the concept. And there might also be a way to contact this person. Maybe we would like to send them a message, and that could be one thing that we could do with people. Maybe you have to send, maybe in our system, and again, I'm making up features because I don't have research or anything else to go by. Maybe in our system, you cannot just book time with someone. Maybe first you have to message them back and forth, and maybe they both have to say that they would like to converse with the other one. Just if for safety or whatever reasons, you start writing back and forth with someone and you find that you do not want to talk to them. That means we probably need another icon with some sort of on and off state. I'm not sure what a good icon would be. I would turn to a visual designer for that, but maybe any of you can think of a good icon that could represent, like, I approve this person to book time with me, or I approve this person to continue conversing with me, like kind of blocked or allowed. We should probably build something like that in here. So I'll kind of copy paste the heart thing and we'll pick a different icon. And but remember, the icons can also have words under them if you're concerned that people are not going to understand what the heck is going on here. So let's see. All right, so this won't be the favorite panel. This would be the, let's call it communication accepted panel, because either people are going to say, yes, I would like to continue receiving communication from this person, or allowing them to book times with me, or yikes, this person, hide, block, no thank you. So let's call this, and by default, it would be on. By default, people would be communicating with people. So let's say there's comm on. And then if for some reason you do not like someone, there would be, let's call it comm blocked. So now we need to come up with two states. Now, again, I'm not the visual designer, so normally I will just come in here and I will use some sort of placeholder icon that a visual designer will make better later because they're good at that. So I'm going to grab another icon. Let's see, what is maybe a speech bubble? Does anybody know what that's called in Font Awesome? I cannot remember. What's that called in Font Awesome? You have to remember what Font Awesome calls these, unfortunately, and that is not always the most obvious thing, but I keep a link to Font Awesome here. What do you call a speech bubble? Comment. All right, let's see if that works. Oh, this is an old version of Font Awesome. That hurts. Yeah, Axure's using a really old version of Font Awesome, and I don't know why. We don't even have a speech bubble, so I'm just going to have to use something else for now. That's it. That's really weird. Maybe a check icon? I guess we can use but then you can't have an X'd out check. I was going to use something and then like an X'd out version of them. So maybe a picture of an envelope. Really? There's no email icon? No envelope? I'm very sad at all of this. Maybe for now it's thumbs up. That's all I can think of. So we'll grab a thumbs up. It's a terrible icon. It's not what any of us were thinking, but that's what we'll go with. And this one was 22 tall. So I'll match this up to the same way and do 22 in height. So communication approved will look like that. And then communication not approved can be, let's zoom in. I'll do this and I'll do a giant X over it. But again, this is a terrible icon. So just imagine that this is for the placeholder-ness and not for the actual design, because, you know, again, this is pretty bad design, but, you know, just go with me on this. That's pretty terrible. What do you think? Sorry, I'm having a slow mouse world. Let's make it even bolder. Giant X. Okay, so terrible, super terrible icon, but there you go. Okay, and by default, we accept people into our world. Hi, Daniel. Good to see you here, by the way. All right, so we also want to have a call to action. Remember, the call to action is usually a button or something really obvious or prominent that users can do. Very often we have a primary button and sometimes we have a secondary button if there are two actions people can take, but one is a little bit more likely to be the one people want to do, or sometimes it's the one we want to draw their eye to. Now, I've made some buttons already, so I can grab this primary button and copy paste it into our world here. And drop it over here. Something like that. Send message. So that's pretty clear. Now, sometimes you might say, hey, Deb, doesn't the call to action need to be in the far right or some sort of corner? You know, does it have to be there? Very often we move a call to action button off to a side or to the right in a left to right language because the eyes move from left to right. And so having a button over there matches the direction in which people might be reading or using this thing. The downside to the design we're working on right now is if they really do have all these languages, and I can't imagine there's more than 6 in each case, that would really be an edge case, we don't really have the space for it. And we might decide that it's more contextual, maybe it's related to the thumbs up or the heart, like this is my little action center. These are the things I can click. They're all near each other. Now, again, maybe this doesn't work. That's what usability testing is for. We can see if people know what to do. Now, we've only given them one thing there's a couple of things they can do here. They can heart people, they can X people out, and let's refresh and take a look. So you can X people out, which looks terrible, but you know what I'm talking about. And we could send them a message. And of course, we could favorite them. So remember, as you create these functions or features, you're really setting yourself up for having to design more stuff. That means if we have hearts, then we need a way to sort or filter later, show me all of my favorites. So you can't just have people do hearts here and not follow through on where else they're going to need to see these favorites. So that's why I left some room up here for sorts and filters. I think we'll continue working on this next week as well because I have some ideas. But I would say hearts, follow through on that. What about this? I'm thinking, tell me what you think. I'm thinking when people X someone out, I think their card should disappear. They're now archived, and maybe they get a little message saying this person has been archived or removed or hidden or whatever our writer says is the best terms. What does that mean? That means we need another filter where you can see all of the people that you've archived or hidden or whatever we're going to call this. So remember, you're setting yourself up later for that kind of thing. And then when it comes to messaging, we're going to need an interface where I can see all of the chat history with this person, all of it. It's going to be important to keep that chat history both for your usage of the product and for anything going on with our company with legal stuff. Because if someone says, I can't believe what this person said to me, this is illegal, we need to see that chat history. So that means that that's something else that we can design. So chances are what I will do after this show ends in a few minutes, or unless people want to watch this, so I'm not sure it's that exciting, but we could consider the show over in a few minutes. I'll probably change this in Axure from a kind of a wireframe the way it is now to a repeater. And again, this is just an Axure functionality. I don't have to do this. This is just an advanced way to build things so that I can test them out. And what the repeater allows me to do is create a bunch of cards like this with different data in them, and then sort and filter them realistically. Now, is that important? We could fake it out. We could fake it out in our prototype, especially if this is still an early concept and we don't want to work too hard on it. But as you know, I like to try to make it as realistic as possible, as soon as possible, and that way I can practice sorting and filtering people for different reasons, for their age, for are they a favorite or are they hidden? Maybe people I've already messaged. That could be a really cool sort. So I think we have some opportunities for some cool sorts, and that will make me want to bring that to life in Axure so that we could try these realistically. And also by bringing them to life in Axure, I'm also getting ready for usability testing, which we're not going to do on this show, but you would be able to, because now the prototype would work realistically, and we could say to someone, our system, you're an English speaker, you're looking to learn Italian. Our system has given you these potential conversational partners. Go. And you just shut up and watch. All right, so that's probably going to end it for today. Let's see. Hopefully I didn't turn on the theme song. Oh, good. It's me, not the theme song. Hey, everybody. So we'll continue this next Monday. In fact, let me upload this to Axure right now, even though I'm about to go in and change it. So if you want to see the Axure file, you can. And any questions before we wrap up the show? And just a reminder that the show will be on tomorrow. It is, of course, Office Hours Ask Me Anything with special guest Dr. Nick. We do not have a third guest tomorrow. We just have Dr. Nick. So if you have a question for either of us, I hope you will drop on by. Also, remember, please do let other people know about the channel. Whether you're new to UX or you already work in UX, there is definitely something here for you. So please subscribe on YouTube and tell 3 friends about it. That's organic growth. So tomorrow is Office Hours Think Out Loud. Wednesday, we've got another panel to talk to people about the troubles they have had finding their first UX job, because it's a thing. So come on back for Wednesday. Of course, Friday will be our critical thinking stream. If you'd like to send something in for the critical thinking stream or for the Think Out Loud stream or for office hours, you'll find all those links at deltacx.com/links. They're all there. Yeah, don't forget to press like and write comments on the YouTube video. If you don't have any other questions, I will wind down the show for today, and I will go behind the scenes and work on the Acture file a little bit more so it's ready for us for next week. But I would say let's continue this next week for episode 16 of Think Out Loud. We'll take a look at building this out further and making it a little bit more realistic, including maybe the message history and the sorts and the filters. I won't build those yet. I will just prepare Acture to deal with those. All right. So, hey, everybody, have a super rest of your day. Thanks for coming to the show. And I guess I will catch everybody tomorrow for office hours. Ask Us Anything. Thanks. See ya. Customer centricity as business intelligence. Visit deltacx.com to learn why we are